What is up, YouTube? This is 3rd Battalion, half an 8-bit co-op, and today I'm bringing you some of the much anticipated, long-awaited Error G99, H1N1, H1Z1. The game should be called Sticks and Berries. At any rate, we got this game yesterday. It came out on early release, early access. Now, there was a huge outcry with this game because people do not know how to read. It stated clearly that this was early access. If you wanted to play the early access, you could pay $19 or $20, and you can get into the early access. People didn't read this. People said, "Oh, the game said it was going to be free to play when it launches. We're getting cheated. We're getting swindled. They lied to us." Well, no, they didn't. People just don't know how to read. They said when the game launches, early access, it's early access alpha. It says it in the title, it says it at the very top that this is early access alpha, not release. And people seem to think that this is release. So they were all up in arms because they were like, oh, we're being lied to. And this is another Dean Hall, another War Z kind of thing. And it's not. At any rate, so this game was plagued with problems. The first problem that we had was the game didn't release when they said it was going to release. It said it was going to release at, I think, 2 o'clock our time, and it was pushed back several hours. My wife had called it. She said, that's not a good sign. It's a pretty auspicious start to a launch. Now, when you sign into an early access alpha, you expect these things. But this is probably the worst one that we've encountered. We started, you saw that first little clip where I was actually in the game. That was about 25 minutes after the servers went live. I was in the game. I was like, okay, cool. I went and checked, I wanted to see what the keys were. I went to the menu screen, looked at the keys, tried to exit back out to the game, and the game crashed. And I think I stopped trying around 2 o'clock this morning. We're in Florida, Central Time, so I don't know, it doesn't matter. I tried for several hours to get into this game and could not. And since we had talked about doing this game on launch, I felt I felt I would be breaking a promise. I said I would do this and I'd have some footage for launch. It was not my fault that we weren't able to get any out, but I did get some playing done this morning. And the videos you're going to see are cut together. They're from 2 or 3 different servers. I got on a server. I started finding stuff, and then the server crashed. So I logged back in, I got on another server, and that server crashed. And it was just, oh man, it was just bad. And I have not been able to get back on a server since the second video. So I figured I'd go ahead and do some post video commentary. And now it seems to me as if they almost weren't prepared for this to launch. My wife had pointed out, I had noticed that a lot of the streamers, people that were streaming the game, were able to get in, but other people were having a lot of issues getting into the game. I thought that was kind of weird, but at any rate, you would think that when you're preparing for a big launch like this, especially from a company from Sony, and Sony does have a bad track record, but they would be more prepared. This was like the Warlords of Draenor launch all over, where people were spending hours and hours trying to get into the game and in long queues, and this just wasn't a good look. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of the game. Now, the one, yeah, like that right there. The one thing I noticed about this game, first and foremost, it's not a bad looking game. I mean, granted, it's not the prettiest, but the shadows and some of the stuff is there. I'm the type of person that I don't care if the game is gorgeous. I will sacrifice a little bit of the graphics for gameplay. I mean, I don't want to play a beautiful piece of crap. It's not fun. I don't care how good the game looks. If it plays horrible, then it's a horrible game. I mean, you can't, bad gameplay or beautiful graphics don't make the game. It's the gameplay and all the other elements that make the game exciting. Graphics are nice. They're nice to have graphics, but it's not the end all be all as far as gaming goes. So the game doesn't look bad. Have I seen better? Yes, but for what it is, it works. I had frame rate issues. Of course, being, what, maybe 12, 15 hours after the game actually launched, or game's alpha, as you call it, the alpha started. Of course, you're going to have issues with the frame rate, login, latency, stuff like that. Normal stuff you would expect from an alpha, from a game this, I don't want to say this early, but this many testers on it. They need to go back to the, they just, hey, we're just going to pick a bunch of people for testing and test the game that way. These buy-ins, I don't really, when they first started, I was like, okay, cool, this is a good way to test the game early and get in. I remember back when I was beta testing games like World of Warcraft, the original, and Dark Age of Camelot. Like, you beta tested, and anybody that's beta tested before will attest to this, where you got in the game, and they were like, okay, today, this week, you're going to beta test this, 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 and this. And that's all you had access to. And you tested that extensively. Like, if they were going to do PvP, they were like, oh, we're going to do PvP, and they might go, we're only going to do PvP and test these 3 classes out. And that's what you did for that test cycle. This is always, this was the first time I ever found a gun in a game like this and just wasn't excited. I don't know, I knew I was going to have, there was not going to be any ammo. I knew I wasn't going to get that lucky, but I saw the rifle and I was like, there's a rifle right there. I was actually having more fun running around with the stick. You will find a lot of sticks and a lot of berries in this game. Thankfully, berries are great because they give you back hydration and they're food, and you will run into hydration and food issues quite a bit in this game. So, alright, so we talked about the graphics. I like the interface on this. It wasn't, people that play DayZ know the DayZ interface, it's very clunky. It's very difficult to navigate. This one, it seems like it was more efficient. I could see something, I click on it, pick it up. I didn't have to do any of this, flop it in my bag or arrange it in a certain way or trying to, get it in my hand. It just, you click on it. If you had room, you put it in your, your inventory. If you didn't, it says, hey, you don't have any room. That's it. I like that. They simplified it. I like the crafting in this so far. I haven't really crafted much, but I've seen some of the other stuff. I think later on in the video, you see somebody had crafted some traps. They were trying to catch some rabbits. My apologies, I didn't mean to cut right there because my crazy dog started barking at nothing. I don't know why she does that. I think she hears things that we don't hear. I think animals can see the supernatural. If you believe in that stuff, they see ghosts and all this other stuff. I notice my dogs, both of them, they'll be sitting there and they'll just be staring at the wall, just at the wall, and then they'll both turn their head the same direction at the same time. It's really freaky when you watch them do that. Because they were doing it the other day. I was just sitting there and I'm watching them, and I was in my room and I was laying on the bed. I was watching TV. I was watching How It's Made, and I looked down and both the dogs, they were quiet. I'm like, okay, they're up to something. So I peeked over the bed and I'm looking at them, and they're both looking at the bathroom. They're both looking in the bathroom, and then they turned and looked at the window, out the window at the same time. And they stood there and they were looking for a little bit, and they turned back and looked in the bathroom. I was like, that's kind of crazy when they do that. And anyways, this is nothing to do with it. Back to H1Z1. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Okay, so one thing I noticed that the sticks and the berries, there was not a lot of loot in this game. I got on, and what you're seeing, I actually got on. I was on for an hour-ish or so. And because when I got on, I logged in and there was a long queue. And so I knew everybody kind of starts in the same general area. This house, I'd been running for a long, long time. I'm actually thrilled that the map is this size because it started to feel like running simulator. And when I'm playing a game like this and there's a lot of people, I kind of want, this zombie's getting the business with this stick. But, I kind of want the game to feel a little like running simulator. I don't want it to be like, well, Infestation. Like when it first came out, where you first had that little area in War Z, back when it was War Z, it was like, it felt like you had 30 feet, and that was it. And everybody was just right there, so you were always encountering people. But, this game started to feel a little bit like running simulator, which I don't have a problem with that. If they're gonna fill the world with stuff, and since you can build stuff and fill the world with your own stuff, that's actually good. That there's these really wide open areas that you want to set up shop. You can set up shop out in the middle of nowhere as long as you remember where you're at. there may not be anybody near you. So that is something that they have going for them. Um, it rained too. It would be sunny for a little bit, and then it was. I don't know if it's rainy season or what, but every server I was on, it rained profusely. I don't understand that. So, but anyways, there's certain systems that aren't in the game. Like I was dehydrated for a while, and it just said I was dehydrated, and I ran around just to see what would happen, and I didn't die. Really, nothing happened. The only time I took any damage was when I was fighting a zombie. I got hit. It said I was slightly bleeding. I let my hunger go all the way down. Nothing happened. I standing here in the water. I don't get wet or sick. So that's obviously not in the game yet. And I believe the devs said that they were going to put that in the game, which is going to be awesome. Also, animals. Animals in this game are a danger. I hear them. I hear the wolves. You're going to also hear throughout the gameplay a loud rumbling noise. That's actually somebody calling in an airdrop. I have not seen a plane, but I do see. I pressed record. I changed my record button, because I try to keep this as clean as possible. And the button I had for record to start fraps was you give them the double middle finger, and I kept every time I record, that would be the first thing that you see is my dude throwing up the birds. He was deuce birding it, and I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and change that. So I hit the wrong button, so I'm running towards it. I'm like, okay, cool, I got that, and then I realized I changed the button. The fraps hadn't started, so when I started it, I actually was watching, and the guy came up and he got the stuff, and then I watched the whole thing go down. I watched the whole thing go down. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. The guy, he came in and he got his airdrop, and it looked like he had a backpack and some kind of gun, and he took off. And like, if that was on a PV, I understand why people have a problem with that. This is not new. They said that this was going to be in the game, and I don't know why people are all of a sudden like, oh my god, what's going on? This is messed up. This is not new. This is something that I mentioned that we're going to do before. That, yeah, you're going to be able to call in airdrops, which I think is really unfair. On a PvP server, PvE server, it doesn't bother me so much, because we're going to be you're not going to be able to use it to kill me. Okay, you may be able to kill more zombies, but you're not going to kill me. So it doesn't really bother me on a PvE server. PvP server, though, I can see why people would have a big beef, because a lot of people that are going to play this game are going to play it for free. They're planning to play for free. They're not going to have the money to throw away on an airdrop. So yeah, it kind of pay to win. A PvP, yeah, very much. I have no qualms about that. If you have the money, you can pay to get ahead in this game. And with the persistent store or persistent saving and everything like that, I mean, that's gonna give you a big one up over everybody. I foresee this, being like I seen some people playing Rust, and I watched some Rust gameplay. And there's some people with some pretty intricate bases, like the Daisy mod, the Epoch mod. Like, there are some people that have some pretty, I mean, their base setups are pretty intricate. So I expect to see a lot of that on this as well. But if you have that advantage of being able to pay for an airdrop and getting ahead of people, I mean, you can basically sit and just wait for people to get stuff, kill them, take their stuff, and that does shift the balance a great bit. But that's neither here nor there. That's my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. If you don't feel that way, you're fine to have your own opinion. I just feel that is just gonna make the game unfair. PVE, not so much. It doesn't really bother me. But I noticed that even on the PVE server, which I jumped on the PVE server because I knew that it was going to be crazy. And like I said, when I started this one, everybody starts off in the same kind of centralized area, and I just took off. I just picked a direction and I ran and ran and ran, and then it was turned into the running simulator. And then I found that shack, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I started getting stuff. But a PvP server, like, one server I did log on, one PvP server. I was in the game. As soon as I got in, I got bludgeoned to death. It was like, wow. I mean, people weren't even waiting. And, that's not fun, especially on a launch day when they're having problems. For people to be doing that, that's just an asshat move. I mean, not even letting people. They're sitting there struggling to get into the game, and you don't even let them enjoy the game. As soon as they get in the game, you beat them about the face and neck, and they're dead, and then they got to start over. And it's just, that's really a pain. I wish people would be a little bit more considerate. Granted, I know it's PvP, and I understand that, but at least let people get in and try the game out for 5 minutes before you kill them. Anyways, this is the airdrop I was talking about. This is the military crate. I was watching the guy, and I thought I was recording, and I wasn't. And the guy can't. I was like, oh, man, I didn't get that recorded. So, yeah. I think you see, I see several people in the distance, but this was another place where I just started running and running and running, and I was running for a while, and I came upon this. It is a pretty big town, but there was, I thought that I was, out in the boondocks. Apparently, this seems to be like another area where a lot of people spawn because everything was open, and as I was running, and I didn't get it recorded, and I wish I had, but there was a large number of people running together, and I think they were all friends. I would imagine they would all be friends. There's literally 7 or 8 people running together, and that's actually what keyed me in that something was going on over here. That made me look, and then I heard the plane, and I think they might have been part of the group that was trying to get the airdrop. But when I got here, I just saw the one individual getting the stuff. But this may be an area where a lot of people go through. Seems like a lot of traffic because, as you see, everything is open, and there's just nothing. After playing, when you play this game, go out in the woods, get a stick. Get loot on the berry bushes. Just walk around spamming the E key, pick up a stick. It's gonna be the first weapon you get, and it actually, right now, the zombies don't do anything. I'm really unimpressed with the AI because they just stand there and take it. You're beating them about the head, and they really don't fight back. And I'm hoping this game they make zombies a threat. I'm here. Oh yeah, zombies will attack in hordes and all that stuff. And I want this game to be. I want people to be a threat, but I want zombies to be a threat again, and not cheese threat like DayZ. Standalone. I'm really just disappointed in that game. But DayZ, the zombies, unless you were doing something really retarded, you just didn't die to zombies. They're really easy to kill. They were buggy. Their movement, it was just horrible. They'd aggro from way across the screen. This one here, I like it because I ran up on some zombies by mistake. I turned and ran away. They chased me for a little bit. I lost them in line of sight, and they stopped chasing me. They lost interest. So, I was, I like that feature. But as you see, I'm going through the town. I'm searching. I'm not finding anything. But, it looks good. I'll give it that. I was wondering about the shadowings. I remember somebody seen somewhere about the shadows and the dynamic lighting and everything, and I was trying to get on different positions to see if the shadows would shift, but I didn't see much of it. I'm thinking maybe it was well, this is what I was doing here. I was looking at the van. I think a lot of it has to do more with the position of the sun. But, there's some games where the static shadow that no matter which way you go, where you turn, your shadow is always going to be, like, right in front of you. But here you'll see there's a trap right there. I go investigate this trap. This is something somebody made, which is, pretty cool. Kind of a silly place to put it. But, to each his own. I would have put it in the woods somewhere. But, I didn't see anything other than the weapon. I do on another server. I had found a 1911, I believe, but the server crashed, and when I got back on, it kind of like reset my character. At any rate, that's my first impressions are, the game, it's alpha, it needs work, it has potential. Not wholly impressed, but then again, I haven't got to play much. But anyways, at the end of this, you're going to see some crazy deer boxing I throw at my dukes. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.
And that's the point of this monster class, is using that misdirection and confusion to your advantage. I've incapacitated him, he's not actually entirely dead yet. When he's on the floor, he can still be revived. If you incapacitate someone once, funny is it's